There's a reason experienced hunters talk about certain stretches of forest in hushed tones. Not because of the wildlife, not because of the terrain, but because of the things they've seen and heard in places where no one else should be. These are 5 accounts submitted by hunters who went into the woods expecting an ordinary trip and came back with something they still can't explain. A hunter from rural Tennessee submitted this account 2 years ago. He asked to remain anonymous. He was bow hunting alone on a cold November morning. He'd been in his tree stand since before sunrise, completely still, waiting. Around 9 a.m., he noticed movement on the ridge directly across from him, maybe 200 yards out. He raised his binoculars. It was a person, standing completely upright between 2 oaks, just watching. He assumed it was another hunter who had wandered onto the property, so he waved. The figure didn't move, didn't wave back. He lowered the binoculars and waited a few minutes. When he looked again, the figure had moved, noticeably closer now, maybe 150 yards out, but he hadn't heard a single footstep. No crunch of leaves, nothing. He decided to pack up and head back to his truck. He didn't look back at the ridge. But when he reached his truck and turned around, out of instinct more than anything else, he scanned the tree line. The figure was standing at the edge of the woods, maybe 30 feet from where he was parked. He got in the truck. He drove. He never went back to that property. This one comes from a deer hunter in northern Michigan who was staying alone in a small hunting cabin for a 4-day trip. He'd hunted the same area for over a decade with no issues. On the 3rd night, around 2 a.m., he was woken up by a sound. Knocking. Slow, deliberate knocking, coming from underneath the cabin floor. He lay completely still and listened. 3 knocks. A pause. 3 more. He told himself it was an animal. A raccoon, maybe. Something that had crawled under the cabin. He tried to go back to sleep, then the knocking stopped, and something started dragging, slowly, methodically, back and forth, as if something was pulling itself the full length of the cabin floor beneath him. He grabbed his flashlight and his phone and went outside to check. There was nothing under the cabin. No animal tracks in the fresh mud around the foundation. No signs of entry. He stayed in his truck for the rest of the night. The following morning, and he noticed that the small rug inside the cabin's front door had been moved. It was pushed flat against the wall, as if something had swept it aside coming in. A turkey hunter from the Ozarks shared this story on a hunting forum in 2021. It was later submitted to multiple paranormal accounts pages. He was using a call to attract a gobbler early in the morning. He'd use the call, wait, listen for a response. After several minutes, he got one. A gobble, about 300 yards north of his position, deep in the hollow. He called again. It called back, closer this time. He called a 3rd time. What answered him was not a turkey. The sound started as a gobble, but halfway through it shifted. It dropped in pitch. It became something guttural, almost vocal, like something trying to produce the sound and getting it wrong. Like something that had heard a turkey call but didn't fully understand what it was supposed to be. He sat frozen for several minutes. Then he heard it again, this time not from the hollow, but from directly behind him. Within 20 feet. He spun around. He saw nothing. He walked out of those woods in a straight line as fast as he could without running, and he didn't stop until he reached his truck. He said, and I want to quote him directly here, "Whatever was behind me, it had moved that far that fast, through dense brush, and I never heard it take a single step." 2 elk hunters in Colorado were setting up camp in a remote area roughly 11 miles from the nearest trailhead. No roads in, no other vehicles at the trailhead when they arrived. On their 2nd night, from their tent, they noticed a faint orange glow through the tree line, maybe half a mile east of their camp, a campfire. They figured it must be other hunters they hadn't known were out there. No big deal. But the next morning, curious, they hiked east to see if they might cross paths with the other group. Maybe compare notes on elk activity in the area. They found the remnants of a fire pit, cold ash, stones placed in a careful circle. But there was no gear, no food, no tent, no footprints coming into or out of the site, just the fire ring and something else. Arranged in the ash, in a neat line, were 6 rifle casings, old ones, heavily tarnished, and beside them, placed deliberately, a single photograph, face down. They didn't flip it over. They agreed, without discussion, to leave it exactly where it was. This final account was submitted by a veteran hunter from rural Georgia who has been hunting the same private land for over 20 years. He knows every sound of those woods, every animal, every pattern. One night last November, something woke him in his ground blind at 3 in the morning. He wasn't sure what, just a sudden, complete alertness, the kind your body forces on you when something shifts in the environment. He turned on his red light torch and swept it slowly across the field in front of him. There were eyes in the dark, low to the ground, unblinking, maybe 40 yards out. He could tell by the height that whatever it was crouching or crawling. He kept the light on it and waited. The eyes didn't move, didn't blink, didn't retreat. He grabbed an air horn, something he carried for bear deterrence, and let it off. Every animal within earshot scattered. The whole forest erupted in movement. But those eyes didn't move. They stayed fixed on him, completely still, while everything else ran. He waited in that blind until full daylight. When the sun came up and he walked out to where the eyes had been, the grass was flattened in a wide, irregular shape. Too wide for a deer, the wrong shape for a bear. He told his son about it that evening. His son asked him what he thought it was. He's been hunting since he was 9 years old. He's seen everything those woods have to offer. He said he didn't know, and that the not knowing was the part that scared him most. He had checked every door and window the night before. They were all locked.